The cost of IT in business can be staggering. From hardware and software expenses to services like internet and phone, you don't need to spend a fortune on IT to succeed. If your organization spends more than $500 monthly on any service, or you're considering signing a long-term contract, IT Enabled can help you manage your technology and minimize your costs. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation. IT Enabled, we're here to help.
Hi, I'm Tara Watson-Watkins, President and CEO of the Lufkin, Angelina County Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the Connect podcast, connecting business to the community. I'm here today with my co-host, Blake Pollino with BP Media Group.
So this week, we are interviewing a great nonprofit here in our community. We have Carla Height and Zach Watson of United Way of Angelina County here to talk about how great this organization is, kind of shed some light on what it is that they actually do for people who may not know all the intricacies and the ways that they're supporting multiple organizations right here in Angelina County. So let's jump into that episode now.
Good morning, friends. Glad to have you on the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourselves to the listeners and let them know who you are and maybe a little bit of background.
I am Carla Height. I am the Executive Director of United Way. I have been there for 24 years.
That's awesome, Carla.
And then before that was actually an agency underneath United Way for 9 years. Okay. So it is a huge part of my life. So
yeah. My name is Zach Watson. I was born and raised here in Lufkin, Texas. Moved off to Dallas for a couple years, but found myself missing the community here. And I'm an accountant, so I worked in accounting in Dallas and moved back here, and I was just got plugged in as fast as I could. And United Way has been a great outlet for that, and I'm getting to serve as the campaign chair this year. That's for great. The 75th year anniversary.
That's awesome.
So they trusted me with that. Woo! Big shoes to fill. It's a rich history. So,
well, we're excited to have y'all on. Let's talk about United Way for people that aren't familiar with it. One of the things that we're really proud of at the Chamber is that the Chamber helped birth United Way of Angelina County.
Yes.
It was actually under the Chamber for many, many years. And we've done that with numerous organizations, from everything from United Way to the Angelina Arts Alliance, Angelina Beautiful Clean, the George H. Henderson Expo Center. All of those organizations were kind of birthed out of the Chamber. Chamber held on, and then when they were stable, we said go fly and go do your own. So why don't you tell us really what United Way is? What do you do? How do you help people?
Okay, yes, thank you for birthing us.
Yes, you're welcome. I have large stretch marks.
Yes, no, we did start underneath the Chamber, and the United Way began in Angelina County as a way, and I think for every United Way exists, it begins as a way to help people in that county or that community, wherever it is. It looks at the needs of the community, and then we actually have a fundraiser campaign, and we raise funds for these needs. The needs really in the past 75 years, some of them are still exactly the same as they were when United Way began. It's always going to be food, clothing, and shelter. Those are just basic necessities of life that we are trying to help with. And then it expands into our crisis intervention, drugs, alcohol, abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, and many aspects like that. But of course, education is always important to us, keeping our community growing in education. So,
yeah. And to clarify, we support agencies that do all these wonderful things that Carla says. The United Way serves as a kind of
like a liaison.
A liaison, thank you. Mm-hmm. We kind of vet these different agencies and what they do. The application process is very professional. We do site visits, and we visit these different organizations and find out exactly what they're doing and exactly how they're going to use our funds. And so United Way has been around for a very long time and is recognized all over the nation. And so it's a great way that you can say, hey, I want to give. I don't know exactly who needs this money the most. United Way is here. We have our finger on the pulse of the community and all the nonprofits out there. And so that's really an important role that United Way serves.
Absolutely.
Year in, year out. And so
So when people donate to United Way, you're then distributing those funds out to different organizations who are using them to help people. That's basically how it works?
Right. Our focus is food, shelter, clothing, the most basic needs first. But it ends up being so much more than that. I like to think of the United Way as foundational level support for all these organizations. A lot of our organizations are smaller organizations that may not be able to have their own fundraiser. But other organizations are larger and do their own fundraisers, but they still rely on the United Way for that foundational level support that serves those basic needs of the individuals that they serve.
I think it's important for people to understand that there really is a process. That you don't just apply for money and get money.
No,
there is a whole group of people that are a part of the United Way, board members and community members, budget committee members that really do, like you said, Zach, go out and do site visits and ask questions, and they read over the budgets before ever going to do a site visit so that they can ask really intense and in-depth questions. There have been places over the years that have received money for many, many years, and because of things that they did not, they didn't allocate money properly or they didn't use their money properly, it was our committee throughout the years that caught those things and said, okay, until you can get back on the right track and you can use this appropriately, we're not going to fund you.
Yes.
So it really is a serious process.
Yes, and it's because we want to be excellent stewards of the donations we receive, because some people may make minimum wage and yet they donate. And we understand that that is a huge sacrifice that they are making when they give to United Way, and it's giving to your community when you do that. But we want to make sure we are using that money perfectly. And so, yes, the process is very thorough to be an agency of United Way.
But we want to be that voice for all these small agencies out there that are trying to get established and need help. They all have great causes, and we want to come alongside you and support you if you're a budding agency listening to this podcast right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. So when I think of United Way, for me, I always go to you. For years, you've had the big sign right outside of the mall in Lufkin that's always had the goal, right? And then it's every year exploding out of the top when you hit your fundraising goal. That's what I always think of when I think of United Way. But how do people give to United Way? So how are you receiving these donations? How are you getting funded? How does that process work?
We really encourage companies to let us come in and have a campaign in your company. And then from there, we encourage companies to do payroll deduct. And that is the easiest way to give to United Way. And we're so fortunate that companies allow us to do that, because an employee can give every week out of their paycheck. It can be any amount of money, but it adds up to a large sum by the end of the year. And many times the company will match it. They may match it dollar to dollar. They may match it 50 cents to whatever that person gave. And so that's a big win-win situation with the company match. But you can also go online to our webpage, UnitedWayOfAngelinaCounty.com. You can give online. We also, in October, will have 100 volunteers going out to small businesses and reaching out to them and asking them to give. So there's numerous ways to give. Yes.
Absolutely. We have an office on Denman Avenue 1019 Denman Avenue.
That's
that you can
right.
swing by and see Carla anytime. You can call me. I'm sure my contact information will be included on the show notes or something. And there's lots of different ways to give.
And I think to maybe even start at the beginning of that, which I didn't do, we have what we call a set of division chairs.
Yeah.
So we have the whole county mapped up into divisions. And it could be attorneys, healthcare, large employers, schools. Schools are very generous givers. And so there's someone over each of those divisions. And so they reach out to their businesses or their individuals, whoever they have, and each one of them have a goal to make, and we need every goal to be made to make the overall goal. So we have lots of individuals who are out there working that can be contacted. We put their names out there in the paper, on the webpage, anywhere we can, so you can find them.
You know, I've had the honor of sitting on the budget committee for many years. The first time I sat on that, I was overwhelmed because I have a dog here in the office, and she wanted to say hello.
That's her podcast debut.
Yeah. I was overwhelmed because I just didn't realize that, you know, you set this goal and then you have to break down every single portion of, you know, you're going to give this much money to this person and this much money to this person. It is so in depth. And, you know, if that's something that you're interested in being in and you want to help, reach out to Carla, because she's always looking for new volunteers to come and to be on the committees and to be a part of this. And it's very much an honor to be able to sit on those committees and to be able to know that you're helping make decisions to go back into your community. So, you know, if you're looking for a new committee to be on, United Way is a great one to be on.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. If you can't give financially at this time, please consider joining the committee. We always need new, fresh faces on the committee, as well as you'll see a lot of social media getting shared this year for the big 75th annual.
Yeah, I think that's so great. Congratulations
so please
on 75 years.
like and
Yes,
share.
very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, first of all, you know, we are looking at our former campaign chairs, and that has been a real highlight. We have had so many individuals who've taken on that role and been leaders in United Way, and they're huge leaders in the community who take the time to do this. And I think that's been very exciting to look back at that list. And we're going to be doing some honoring of them. But we're looking at the number of agencies that United Way, I mean, we have worked and served with over 40 agencies in the past, and that doesn't even include, sometimes we have done startup money, just like the chamber has, for agencies that grew to be huge in our community. And so we're very excited about that, looking at just the history of United Way. We're looking at what would Angelina County be like without United Way. It's a huge I just feel that United Way has given to so many people, and you may think you've never benefited from it, but you have. You have. You may not have walked directly into an agency door, but you have benefited from it because we've improved the lives of so many people. These agencies have worked with them, and that benefits you. It benefits everyone in the long run.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So you talked about all these volunteers that go out and work to facilitate these donations that come in with different corporate sponsors or different companies in Angelina County. How can people be involved if they want to be a supporter of United Way outside of donating to their employer or just donating through your website? How can people be involved outside of like the committees if they want to help out?
The budget committee is the main focus of our volunteers. That's where we're really looking for people, because the more people that know about these agencies, the more they're willing to talk about it, and the more excited they get about raising funds for United Way. But it's not just that. It's we always want to remember that we never know when something is going to happen to one of us, and you're going to need one of those agencies. It is going to happen. And so when that time comes, you're not floundering, really. You're not wondering, what do I do? But instead, you've already been educated on what the nonprofits are out there and what they can do. And so you have a place to turn to, even if it's just calling the United Way office and saying, this is happening. Where can I go? You know, we want to get you educated on what nonprofits do.
So if we have nonprofits out there that aren't benefiting from United Way, how do they get plugged into you?
They get plugged in because we still work side by side with them. You know, it's still an individual. We are a family. We are trying to help. And so even if they need a service that maybe is not from one of our United Way agencies, it may be a former United Way agency we're still working with, but we still want to work with all agencies as far as referrals, and they may refer a client to us. So we stay in touch with all of them.
They can reach out to our office and get an application.
They can apply for that as well.
Part of that is audited financial statements are required for the application, and so that's something to keep in mind as you're working throughout the year. And you know, it's kind of that time of year to
get your information
Get your information straight and get your information out. Yeah.
And who are some of the agencies, if you can share, that United Way is helping to support in Angelina County?
Oh gosh, we support the Salvation Army. They do a ton of good here in the community. The Boys and Girls Club. We support Child Protective Services, keeping our kids safe. We support the Lufkin Workshop, who provides work opportunities for individuals with developmental disabilities, which is really an amazing niche. I got to visit that organization this year on my site visits, and it was amazing to see them work and navigate COVID and everything like that. And then what touches a ton of people in the community is Meals on Wheels. I mean, they reach a lot of folks, and that's how, you know, we talk about everyone can benefit from United Way. You never know whenever it's going to be. You might find yourself later in life and in need of, you know, a meal. And, you know, so yeah, that's to name a few. Hospice of the Pines, another very strong organization.
The McMullen Library, the Temple Library in Diboll.
The libraries have been
They
huge.
are huge.
Yeah. I mean, as far as just access to education, that's such a,
We find the libraries, most of people just think of them as books. Right. But what we're really learning about the libraries and where United Way really wants to help them out is Wi-Fi, internet and Wi-Fi. Because so many communities are, you know, they can't access it. That's an issue. Yeah. And then people can't afford it. And if your child is in school or if you're doing a job application, forms, for even services, you need Wi-Fi. And so the libraries are playing a strong role with that to help people get their work done. So
that's awesome. I love that. Well, where can people learn more about United Way? Where can they find you? Where can they learn more about you? Where can they learn more about the organizations that you support? We
are at 1019 East Denman in the Integra Insurance office. We are online. We have a Facebook page. So those are probably the top 3 resources you can find us at.
And just get ready, because you're going to see a lot more of us come October. We're kicking off our campaign September 30th. And so the whole month of October, we're going to be out there on the streets and pounding the doors of businesses and and really doing everything that we can to raise these funds. And
we haven't said it, but we should say it. We have a $295,000 goal.
Great.
That is exciting for the year. That is up from last year. And United Way is pretty historic about meeting that goal.
That's right.
And we talk about Trey Henderson is in our video for this year as one of our former chairs. And I should say we do have a video. It is online. It's an excellent tool. If you're a business or a company and you just want to show more about United Way, the video is an excellent tool. We're refining it right now to get it out. But Trey talks about that one year, several years ago, they did not make the goal. And they just missed it by a very short mark. But the impressive thing about it was the next year, they didn't go down on the goal. They went up and they made it and went over. But the people the community, I say the people, but let's face it, it's the community, really realized, I think, the importance of it. So we have a big old work job to get done.
That's right. That's right.
I have full belief in y'all.
But it's going to take everybody working together.
Yeah. Sure.
And an amazing part of the United Way is all of our agencies throughout the community. You know, they have their own needs that they try to fulfill. But for the month of the campaign, everybody kind of lays down their guns and bands together to raise this awesome goal to help those that can't necessarily help themselves. So it's really neat to see every year.
We love that. Well, awesome.
One thing, we want to always point out is United Way has always been a people campaign. It's a campaign for everyone. You can give any amount of money and it's going to go with everyone else's amount, and it will eventually make the goal. But we also call it a people campaign because everyone is going to receive from what they've given.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
We'll give, and give some more.
Yes. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thank you guys for doing this podcast too.
we appreciate
I mean, y'all bringing great organizations on here and getting to share their stories. I think that's so
We love to share stories.
important. Yeah. Well, a lot of times we give and we don't get to see where it goes, And
Right.
so whenever people have this platform to tell their stories, I think it's really amazing.
Thank you for saying that.
Doing a lot of work
We
in our
appreciate
community.
it.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you both being on the podcast
Thank you.
this week. And to all of our listeners out there, please make sure that you go check United Way out. If you have an employer who has a program already set up, or if you are a nonprofit that's interested in getting support from United Way, please check out some of these resources. We truly appreciate you listening this week and every week. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.